This past week, I was having a conversation about AI and ChatGPT and about how it could potentially help lots of different professions. And one of the individuals I was speaking to this week was a pastor, and we talked a little bit about what AI might be able to do for that type of work. And I think the pastor that I was speaking to had not really considered whether ChatGPT or OpenAI or any type of artificial intelligence could be useful in the line of work that he has been accustomed to over the past 30 years. And I thought it might be a really interesting subject to talk about online and how OpenAI might be of help. I took the book of James or the epistle of James that's in the Bible, and I thought, okay, so if I'm a pastor, how might I use this technology to help benefit me in my congregation? And I looked at OpenAI and I put in, okay, so let's outline the book of James. So in a chat GPT, it popped up with a solid outline of the book of James. And then I asked, hey, can you summarize it for me very quickly? So it shot out a summary and gave me an idea of what the book of James is about, some of the key points, some of the things that, historically it may have been useful for. Then I asked for authorship. What is the author? And it gave me a background of the author and what traditional Christian belief is of where the book of James come from, of who James was. And according to tradition, James was also known for his piety and devotion to God. James was martyred for his faith. So it shot out a quick bio of James, the author of the epistle. Then I asked it a more subjective question. I said, can you give me an idea of what the inspiration for James or inspirational scriptures might be? And it shot out what I consider to be a lot of really good inspirational scriptures from the book of James. And I'm just sort of scrolling through here, letting you see what came out of that work, asking Chat GPT or AI to give me an idea of what, might be helpful if I'm looking for inspirational scriptures to discuss. Then I went through and I said, okay, so tell me a little bit more about the theological challenges concerning the book of James. What are sort of the key points that over time people have looked at? And the relationship between faith and works was one. Nature of justification or the idea of redemption in the book of James. Authorship is one of the challenges or one of the ideas that gets wrestled with in theological terms. And then the relationship between the Old Testament and New Testament, and then the role of wisdom. So lots of different aspects of the book were covered. I wanted to know historical interpretations. So if I was to think about early church fathers, early church thinkers, the Protestant Reformation, and what Calvin and Martin Luther might have thought, the social movement, so the social gospel and what its sort of view of James was, liberation theology, and then contemporary scholarship. And I got summaries of all of those sort of ideas and backgrounds. Then I asked it another question. I said, okay, so you gave me a pretty good church history on it. What about Catholics' views on the book of James? So it summarized that for me and gave me an idea of what the emphasis might be of the Catholic Church's teachings on the book of James. I thought, okay, what about cultural impact? Once again, I got a good summary of the cultural impact that this book has had. The next question I thought of was, okay, so let's say I'm writing a sermon series, right? What sermons perhaps have other people given on the book of James? And it gave me people from John Wesley to Charles Spurgeon to A.W. Tozer, Martin Luther King Jr., and then even contemporary pastors like John Piper, D.L. Moody and John Edwards were a older generation, but Billy Graham was more modern. And then it also gave me Tim Keller, who is the pastor of a church in New York City. So it was pretty accurate in giving me some good ideas of what sermons that others have put together might be. And then it gave me ideas for sermons with sermon titles and chapter and verse, and even a summary of what those sermons might be on, which once again would be very helpful as a pastor to sort of think through what I might want to give as a congregation is looking to either teach through or to learn from the book of James. This gives me some great ideas. And then once again, I took what are 10 Protestant commentaries or books for preparing for a sermon, right? So it gave me a list of 10 commentaries and books that are directly about James and how it might be used. And then I asked for general books on topics of faith and works, as faith and works seems to be a rather uh, large topic in the book of James. And it was really interesting to see what ChatGPT gave me and sort of encouraged me to look at. Why do I tell you this? Why do I share what ChatGPT gave me for a book of the Bible and sort of how it might help? I think that there are a lot of professionals out there that think of AI as something that could not be used for benefit for you. And as a pastor or somebody who's teaching, I think in particular, ChatGPT or OpenAI, as we move forward, artificial intelligence is going to be able to help you be more productive and to get more information quickly so that you can then take it and apply it to whatever task or whatever subject matter that you are working with. And it helps round out your perspectives. It helps open up, sort of like Google does, it helps you open up the vast majority of information that's out there and then help condense it to where you can grab it and grapple with it quickly, that you can engage it, see what's good, see what's not good, maybe even open up perspectives that you weren't aware of before. So, for example, in this topic, I ask it for 10 commentaries and 5 books. There are probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 books that an expert may not know of. And this would give them an idea of figuring out what it is that book's about, what other perspective that it might offer, and then the opportunity to go and use that resource to better apply what you are uniquely gifted to do. I used the pastor in a sermon series, but this would go across all lines of learning and professional development. So hopefully you can take this and figure out how you could apply that to your line of business so that you might better equip or better use your specialty in order to serve others. Hope you have a great week and look forward to speaking with you the next time we bring a video up. Take care.